Hello, hello. April here with Aaliyah Creative. I am so excited that you are here with me today, and we are going to have some spooky, creative Halloween fun today. We are going to be working in our Halloween journal and doing a prompt from Kia Creates Halloween Journal Challenge. And we may be using some of my ephemera that I have made. But I believe that today, let us find where we're at. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment below and let me know if you are doing any Halloween journaling. All of that engagement, it really does help my little channel grow and it makes my heart so happy. So, yes, let's see. I think we're going to do we want to do bats and cats or Moonlight and Starry. So let's do Moonlight and Starry because I already started on this yesterday, but I got mad. So I had to stop. So I did not get mad at journaling. That was not a problem. I have a wonderful time journaling, and it's not something that normally makes me angry. But what made me angry was cameras. So I was having all sorts of trouble with my cameras, and I just finally was like, forget it. No, I give up. It kept blurring. Anyway, you don't want to know all that. But that to say, I had pulled out some pages that I wanted to do for the Starry Nights theme. This is a beautiful purple paper that I got from, actually, this as well is the Halloween paper. It's copy paper that I had gotten from my trip to the art asylum. I will try to link that video if you haven't watched it. Now, I will say I was having filming trouble with that one. I filmed it several different times, and I'm just going to go with the best version of whatever it is, and it'll be what it is. So here we go. Let's pick up where I left off, which was creating the background for this page. I'm undecided if I want to use this collage sheet that I created from just a scrap paper. So we may use that, but I do know for sure that I want to use these. So let's find our handy dandy glue stick, which of course is actually I put it up for once. So all right, let's see if we can get you a little bit better view of everything here. That paper here, and I think that I would like to add. I was going to do some splatter, but I don't want to get it all over my camera because I've had so much camera problem. So we're not going to do, but we'll add that later. So what I want is for these torn layers to kind of go through. So let's do that. So sometimes I will simply go through and add in my background. Like I'll just start gluing, you know. Other times I like to lay it out like this, particularly if I want the pages to do some sort of kind of like overlap like I'm doing here. Just because if not, you're going to be pulling those up and re-sticking them. So the fun part is I have zero idea what I'm going to do with this once the background's on. I just know I want this kind of layered starry-esque background. Right. Now, one thing that you can do if you do like to kind of lay out your pages before you start to glue like this, and then you're not quite sure how you want to fit them back in, you can always take a photo so that that will kind of give you a little bit of a guideline there. So what I'm doing is tearing these so that we don't have those abrupt square edges. So just down to a point like that. And what we want to start doing with our gluing is gluing on our innermost piece here. And I definitely don't always glue things in the exact order that I have them laid out. Part of that's because I don't always remember. Sometimes it's because I find kind of a better solution as I'm going along. Now, I'm going to tear this up so we can get, oh, I'm going to go that far. I just want to tear it so that we're not seeing that overlap of the cat's tail there. Okay, perfect. And then we'll pull this piece out and get a good amount of glue on the back. Now, you could also use matte medium or Mod Podge for this. I just like the quickness of working with a glue stick. I really like working with matte medium. I think if it's here in front of me, I will tend to reach for it, but it is slightly out of its reach. Okay, so now we're going to go in and add some glue to this. Okay, how did you come back here? Like, did I not fix this? And okay, I guess I didn't tear it all the way off. The way that it is. Okay, so we've got that stuck fairly good. Another thing that you can do is crease this edge. You can also go in with some scissors and cut it as well to get a really firm fit. This is still just flopping up there. This I use this glue and I really like it, but I just feels like this particular batch that I bought is slightly less sticky than normal. And another thing I always like to mention is that it can be a good idea to have like a mat or something that you do your gluing on the kind of beside you so that you're not gluing directly where you're working, because sometimes those glue spots, if you're going to work over this with paint or another medium, it can cause some issues later on. However, I am not worrying about that today. Now, here's a good example of that. Did this go all the way over the top? And how did this little piece sit? Okay. I think he sat right in like that. Okay. Doing this and this. I don't always glue like this insane method that I'm doing now. I promise. I apologize if you are basically wondering why is she doing it that way. I don't know. I just do things sometimes. And it is what it is. It's much smarter to, glue with a little more pressure. That could also be why my glue isn't sticking, is maybe I'm not pressing as hard as this crazy person. Pretend you did not see that fall. So we're going to tuck. Do we want to tuck this one in? How far does this come up? Because what's important here is I want our owl to be visible. I want you to be visible. But I also want to make sure that I have enough to cover the page and not have to do another weird thing. Okay, that's going to work. Okay, there. Get a little extra glue here. That kind of comes out and has a weird situation. And then over the top or behind, what do we think? Could really go either way. Let me get a look at it here. Get the page pieces out. Second guessing that purple strip across there. Maybe we just need like a little bit of purple maybe. That looks odd. Maybe this. Yeah, that's weird. I could get another piece of this paper and tear it, but I don't also want to add too much gray in. Let me see if we just happen to have a soft purple. No, I've used all the purple. That's okay. You know what we're going to do? We're going to stop overthinking it because it's just a collage. We're probably going to cover it up. We don't need to get all crazy about it. I think I'm going to go behind with it. And I'm gonna go kind of like that. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Again, don't glue like I do. It just makes your life harder. Take a few seconds and do it the other way. But if you're like me, just do it the hard way and bizarre way. And that's okay too. Okay. So this is a thicker cardstock type paper, so it is right in this bend. I may need to cut it because I am worried that it is not going to stick like it should. Now these should be much easier to glue here. Ouch, just poked myself on the pine cone. Yes, you want to say, where is the pine cone? It's here. There it is. Always like to have a little bit of nature around me. Okay, now we're fitting this in, pulling that out to the edge. And if you remember what I said about the owl, okay, so, ooh, okay, okay. So that's maybe not, it's maybe not what I was going for. Okay, there, that'll work. That will work. I like that. Now, of course, if you don't like having these visible torn edges, you don't have to do that when you're collaging. I just, for whatever reason, I like it. And then when we're going to pull this, I'm going to put a lot of glue on this since I already know that this is a little bit more difficult to get it to stick down since it's such a thick piece of paper. And again, we're not going to worry if anything is sticking out over the edge of the page. We can cut that off once it's dry. Now, you notice your glue spots are really going to show up on that black paper. So you want to be careful there and get a good overall look here. Camera turned again. I must have bumped it. Good idea. There is what we have to work with. Right, so now that we have our background set for our starry sky, I am actually going to go in and switch us to a voiceover just because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to create on this if I'm not talking through it. So, voiceover April will take over now.
And thank you so much for hanging in with me through all of that paper arranging. So, I do want to say that I end up liking the end product that we end up with here. I do wish that I had done it a little bit differently on the right hand side. As far as where the gray paper is, that wasn't visually the look that I had in mind. But we're making a moon now, so I just pulled out some magazine paper. This had a fun texture to it, and just cut out a nice big moon. And I wanted to put it in that corner to break up where that purple paper just abruptly stops. So now our focus is drawn into that moon and then kind of spreads out from there. Now I grabbed some of the scrap paper. This is one of the Walgreen bags that medication comes in, and I just drew some quick stars, colored them with my highlighter, and cut them out. And they are definitely some wonky stars, which is very on brand for me because, as we all know, I love a perfect star. I do not have the patience to do that. So instead, we have wonky stars. So, welcome to Wonky Star World. So, we are creating our little Halloween spread here, and the theme is definitely starry skies. Don't forget to check out all of the different creators who are following along on the Halloween Journal Challenge from Kia Creates. It's been so fun to see what everybody is making, and I'm just so glad that I found this, challenge to participate, play along with. I'm not an official part of it, just playing and having fun. So now I'm going in with some of my ephemera. So these are some that I created. I just grabbed some scrap paper and I drew out some simple shapes and then colored them in with markers and colored pencils. And I did go ahead and make this into a very a a freebie. We're going to have two freebie pages on this. So one will include the pumpkins. So I may not have it up for this video, but definitely for the next video, I will have a link where you can get those freebies. Again, it's not going to be like super high quality printables. It's just going to be something you can print at home and enjoy, something I quickly drew out and and colored in, and I've had a lot of fun playing with them. So what I'm doing now is putting in a pumpkin patch because I wanted a story to go with this. This scene to me is like my classic back to my childhood scene of Halloween that I often drew. It would always have a spooky tree with either an owl or a bat. We would definitely always have the cat in the arch pose, that beautiful big moon with stars, a fence, and of course a pumpkin patch. Now here I went in, I cut some little bits of the black paper. I just freehanded them into some grass shapes. This is something that my mom taught me to do when I was a kid, and mine definitely don't look like hers, but I have a distinct style. Like every time I just freehand grass, this is how it comes out. So if you play along or do something similar and it doesn't come as naturally to you, just know it's I've been doing this thing since I was a kid, and I haven't done it for a while. So this was such a fun nostalgic spread to create, and I had so much fun with it. So the tiny pumpkins I actually cut out of one of the Dollar Tree packages of goodie bags that were just covered in pumpkins, because I didn't have a lot of sizes in the printable and I wanted to vary them a little bit to break up the scene. So I added in those little guys and I was really happy with that. Next, we want to go in with our Signo gel pen. Hey, if you are struggling with your Signo gel pens, because I do, and I've mentioned this in so many different videos, that it seems like sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. And sometimes they are just good and bad. But what I found is I have a bunch now, and a lot of them were not working. And what I did was I started storing them upside down. And I just as an experiment a few weeks ago. And that seems to have made a huge difference. So maybe it's not the pens. Maybe all of the ink is just glomping at the bottom. Glomping is a very important term to know, by the way. I didn't just make that up. Absolutely not. So I went in and I did all these little stars and dots just to really embrace that starry sky feel. You know, when you go outside and you're trick or treating and you look up at the sky and you just see all the stars. I had a lot of fun doing this. It's such a simple thing to do and it's really relaxing. I kind of wish that I had put him on there. I may have to go back and add him in. That was actually kind of cute. So now this is where things go a little right, because instead of grabbing a second sheet of paper and drawing a bat, I just was like, I make bats all the time. I can totally make these right. Well, maybe if this is the bigger marker of the Sharpie Creatives, because I was out of the small one and it's a little too chunky clunky. And that's where we're going to kind of wrap it up today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspired you to make a fun, creative spread. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And check the comments down below in the description for more information on how you can get your freebies. Thank you. Bye.